An abysmal run in Pokemon Sun nearly earned us fraud status, but the subsequent redemption in Pokemon Moon spared us that fate. And while the knowledge we gained will still prove immensely valuable, there are many changes made to earn the Ultra moniker in Pokemon Ultra Sun today. A lot of the trials have been tweaked, and Game Freak throws the once trialless Captain Mina a bone, increasing our count to 12. The story also makes a pretty major deviation partway through, leading to one of, if not the, hardest challenge in a base game Nuzlocke. I'll try not to get bogged down in the details as we get the adventure started, and only focus on what's new. Instead of taking the scenic route to Iki Town, meeting Lillie, and almost dying first, Professor Kukui lets us add Oliver the Rowlet to our squad right away. We still have to run through the aforementioned list before getting access to Pokeballs, however, starting with a battle against Hau and his freshly chosen Popplio. Leafage makes light work of the starter, and we actually battle a Spearow bothering Nebby as we hit all of our story beats and get the legs started. Our first edition is quickly found in Gigavolt the Grubbin from Route 1. As we train up on our way to Iki Town, we run into two very strange looking characters. They make it clear that they're not from here, and make mention of a blinding one multiple times before leaving. They'll show up throughout the journey, but won't always have a lot to say. As is tradition, Oliver absolutely no-diffs House Pichu and Popplio for a resounding festival victory. Topsy-Turvy the Inkay joins the team from the outskirts, and the team continues to power up as we head to school. We miss out on a Zorua encounter thanks to a crit, but the team should still be ready for the infamous Teacher Emily. Teach runs a different game plan this time, using the starter with the type advantage to your own. Thankfully, Topsy-Turvy is able to overwhelm Litten with Foul Play for the win, using an Oran Berry in between to stay healthy. As we enter Hau'oli City proper, Hau and I are confronted by everyone's favorite numbskulls. They go down as easily as ever, leading to our battle with Ilima. Topsy-Turvy continues to come in clutch, using Reflect to ward off attacks and Foul Play to take out Yungoos. Smeargle proves to be a bit too much though, so I pivot to Oliver. Oliver manages to hang on and take Smeargle out despite the Technician-boosted Embers that were being thrown our way. From this point, most of the lead up to our first trial plays out the same. We manage to catch Georgie the Drifloon in the cemetery, and instead of making a fuss in the berry fields, Team Skull gets into mischief at Big Wave Beach. Georgie promptly puts them in their place, and we catch a glimpse of the two strangers before catching Southpaw the Crab Brawler on Route 2. A spot of training ensues, and Trial 1 is on the menu. With Southpaw's stab fighting Brick Break, the trial is an even easier affair, and the way is quickly paved to the Totem Gumshoes. We use 3 Brick Breaks total to drop the Totem and its ally, securing the first Z Crystal and a level cap increase to 16. We catch Donnie the Yungoos in the Verdant Cavern, and Route 3 then blesses us with one of Kalos' best. Ricochet the Halucha is an amazing addition to the team, even more so because its ability is Unburden. As long as he stays alive until then, Ricochet will be the solution to a major problem. Nebby decides to head into the Seaward Cave instead of sticking to the meadow as we give chase, leading to Dodge the Cottony's addition to the squad. The two strangers from before, named Dulce and Zossie, finally take action as we get into battle. His Furfrou is only able to debuff as Georgie spams our way to victory. The two continue to exposit in conversation to each other before they go, leaving us free to get into another battle with Hau. Dodge is the play as Hau leads with Popplio, using Leech Seed to start chipping at it as we boost up with growth. Between the boosts and Leech Seed, we're able to outpace Popplio for the first KO. Hau then sends Noibat out next, immediately stuffed by Fairy Wind. Why'd you do that, dude? Pikachu is last in line, and Dodge easily handles it with Leech Seed and Fairy Wind for the win. Before rushing into the grind ahead of our Grand Trial, I head back to the Seaward Cave for my encounter, catching Nikki the Smoochum. After a quick training session focusing on the appropriate EVs, we get our battle with Hala started. Ricochet starts things off for us, using Hone Claws to power up. With a couple boosts, Aerial Ace is a clean sweep, taking Machop, Makuhita, and Crabrawler out with ease. A quick visit to 10 Carat Hill provides us our last melee encounter as we catch Scruff the Rock Gruff. Once Scruff's caught up to the rest of the squad, we set sail for Akala Island, using the newly added Mantine Surf feature to get there in style. And then I Mantine Surf back to Melee. And then I go back to Akala. And I repeat this for an obscenely long time because I need the beach points. Later down the line, we can use these points for the power items, as well as a ton of great moves via tutors. With that insane grind out of the way, we get our Akala Island portion of the adventure started with a battle against Dexio. Mime Jr. embarrasses Gigavolt to start, so I'm forced to pivot into Topsy-Turvy. She's then able to defeat Mime Jr. and Espeon effortlessly for the win. We add Trumpet the Pikipek to the reserves from Route 4 as we work our way over to Paniola Town for our next battle with Hal. The newly evolved Brionne still can't get past Dodge's Leech Seed and Growth combo, using the boosts to hit even harder with a super effective Mega Drain. That breakneck blitz out of nowhere did scare me for a second though. Dodge continues to be Hal's kryptonite as Pikachu is sent out next. Leech Seed keeps Dodge healthy, and more boosts ensure Mega Drain and Fairy Wind are powerful enough to defeat the Mascot, Noibat, and Eevee for the win. We take as many chances as we can get to power up as we head to Route 5 next, getting into our first battle with Gladion. I get things started with Ricochet and Brick Break the lead Zubat. Psych, it was Zorua. So glad I remembered that. The real Zubat is taken out with Aerial Ace on the next turn, and Gladion's type Null is Brick Broken for the win. Ricochet is just built different. Our next trial is on the horizon as we get down to training, evolving Gigavolt into Charjabug. Things seem to play out in similar fashion as we battle some Wishy-Washy, but the changes start to pile up as we also find Dewpider in the water. And when it comes time to challenge the totem, we're forced to contend with an Araquanid instead. Bro literally bullied them out of their schooling form too. Rude. I am playing no games as Ricochet gets things started, using Supersonic Sky Strike to nearly one-shot the spider. After chunking us with Bubble, the totem calls in Masquerain, intimidating our boy. Aerial Ace finishes Araquanid off and we're paralyzed in exchange, but Scruff is able to secure us the win with Rock Throw. Dulce challenges us to another battle soon afterwards, using Poipole instead of Furfrou. He uses an X defense right out the gates, ultimately for nothing as Nikki overwhelms the little guy with confusion. They start to express interest in our Z Power Ring, but don't really say much more before they bounce. It's all familiar territory from this point to our next trial. After beating some Team Skullgrunts and participating in a Battle Royal, we cash in our BP for those power items I mentioned before. I use any remaining points to teach our crew some better attacks too. We catch Robin the Fletchling in the Well of Volcano Park, and then I head back to Paniola Town to catch Sushi the Magikarp. Sushi evolves into Gyarados as we train, and she'll be our lead as we get the trial started. Again, the trial plays out in similar fashion, but deviates hard when the totem makes their debut. Instead of a Salazzle, the totem is an Alolan Marowak. Things start off well for us as we tank a Flame Wheel and answer with Water Pulse for big damage. Then, the totem calls in a Salazzle for help. Talk about unbalanced. Marowak blocks our next Water Pulse with Detect, and we're poisoned by Salazzle. There's no way it uses Detect twice in a row, so I use Hydro Vortex after eating a Venoshock and a Hex. We take the totem out, but chip damage takes Sushi out as well. RIP. Scruff the pinch hitter then uses Rock Throw a couple times to defeat Salazzle for the win. Of all the members we had, Sushi was the best option to go down since it keeps the line free for future use, but it still feels bad. Oh hey! A shiny Stuffle! First shiny since the Mankey in Fire Red! What was I feeling bad about again? It's a meeting of minds as we see Colress chatting up Dulce and Zacian on our way to the next trial, but beyond that, the lead up to the Lush Jungle is uneventful. We're still on a scavenger hunt, but this time, we can avoid conflict by being selective when we pick our ingredients. Totem Lurantis is still the obstacle to overcome, which means it's Ricochet time. Supersonic Sky Strike misses the mark by the tiniest bit again, and Lurantis calls in Comfey for backup. Luckily for us, a crit Aerial Ace on turn 2 cleans the totem up even after it uses Synthesis, and Comfey is taken out by Aerial Ace as well for the win. The level cap increases to 28 ahead of our third battle with Olivia, and not much changes as we head over to Coney City. I decide to purchase a cover fossil and head to the Dream Park to revive Galapagos the Tirtuga. This frees Jinx up for a future leg where its power will certainly come in clutch. Training kicks off next, leading us straight into our Aether Foundation defense and subsequent battle with Big Sis Plumeria. Gigavolt puts in major work to take Golbat out, and Galapagos makes a great first impression as he handles Salandit for the win. As we continue to power up, Scruff evolves into Lycanroc, and our grand trial is finally at hand. Ricochet continues to assert his dominance against the Kahunas by leading the charge in battle. Olivia's shaken things up a bit by leading with an Anorith, but the end result is still the same. Honeclaws followed by Flying Press takes Anorith and Lillie down, and an all-out pummeling blasts Lycanroc off the screen for good measure. The level cap increases a good bit to 33 as Faba brings us to Aether Paradise, leading to our confrontation with Nihilego. A couple of bulldozes from Galapagos are all it takes to send the beast packing, and we gain a lot more knowledge in the aftermath thanks to Dulce Zaci. We're sent back on track and get into a battle with Hau on Ula Ula Island next. Dodge continues to use the type matchup against Brionne, but Hau throws us for a loop by slamming us with Hydro Vortex and pivoting to Noibat. Scruff takes over and shows her fully evolved power off with an Accelerock KO on Noibat and Brionne. Raichu's Psychic is nullified on the switch to Topsy-Turvy, and she tanks Electro Ball before getting an OHKO with Foul Play. Galapagos then blows Flareon out of the water before Hau's final Pokemon, a Tauros, is sent out. Pretty solid new addition to his roster too, as it nearly gets the better of Ricochet before Flying Press seals the deal. Hau is way better in the Ultra Games. Molayne decides to spare us from a battle as we head to Mount Hokulani, but training kicks off all the same ahead of our next trial. Topsy-Turvy evolves into my friend Malamar just in time for the trial. Sophocles' trial has been majorly reworked, changing from a quiz to a rotating puzzle with some electric-type battles in between. As one would expect, the machinery involved goes haywire, and the totem Togedemaru steps in to avert the disaster and challenge us to battle. Topsy-Turvy gets things started with Reflect, and Togedemaru calls in a Skarmory for help before we use the Topsy-Turvy attack. The Sharp defense increase is now a Sharp decrease, which causes the following Thief to deal massive damage. Topsy-Turvy takes a serious beating, but manages to defeat Togedemaru with one last Thief, leaving Ricochet free to beat Skarmory down for the win. The level cap increases a bit more to 35 as we return to Malier Garden and battle Guzma. Ricochet's Flight is enough to trigger Golisopod's emergency exit, and Masquerain intimidates us on entry. Scruff is more than powerful enough to OHKO with Accelerock immediately afterwards, and I get Ricochet back in to safely finish Golisopod for the win. The long and winding trek to Tapu Village provides the team the experience, and items, they need to trigger 2 more evolutions. Gigavolt evolves into Vikavolt, and Dodge evolves into Whimsicott, bolstering the team's power ahead of the ever-difficult 6th trial. Gigavolt goes first and uses Mud Slap, breaking the disguise and also lowering the totem's accuracy. Gigavolt manages to pivot out with Volt Switch following Play Rough and Curse from the Bayonet that was called in, barely hanging on. Dodge then applies the ever-essential Leech Seed before I get Scruff to take over. Bayonet takes itself out with a second Curse, and a Jellicent is called in next. Bruh. Thanks to all the damage Scruff has taken, Galapagos has to take over. He manages to take Mimikyu out with Rock Tomb, and also puts in some serious work against Jellicent before Topsy-Turvy ultimately sees us through for the win. The next level cap is a whopping 44 thanks to all the battling we'll be getting into ahead of our grand trial, starting with Plumeria's rematch. Despite Golbat's level advantage, Volt Switch secures an OHKO and a free switch into Galapagos, just in time to deal with Salazzle. Dragon Pulse hits like a train, but we answer in kind with Bulldoze for the win, kickstarting the gauntlet against Team Skull. Our misadventures in Po Town pay off big as Galapagos evolves into Caracosta, and we quickly find ourselves in battle with Guzma again. Scruff starts off, using Rock Slide to force Golisopod out and flinch Pinsir on entry. A second Rock Slide finishes Pinsir off and just misses the mark against Golisopod. Since it flinched though, we get a free Accelerock KO, and Masquerain gets crushed by Rock Slide last for a flawless victory. I doubt things go that well in our next battle against Gladion. We get an OHKO on Golbat with Rock Slide to start, but Type Null is way too tough for Scruff to deal with alone. Ricochet takes her place and outpaces the Chimera for the KO. Up last is Zoroark, hitting Dodge hard with Hyper Voice. Thanks to Leech Seed and Giga Drain though, Dodge manages to take the Trickster down for the win. We still have some room to grow ahead of the Grand Trial, so I turn Old Man Nanu down flat and train a bit before getting the battle underway. I'm not going to accept any losses if I haven't done all I can to prepare first. 27 legs in and we're finally showing some character growth. With the squad sufficiently powered up, it's time to earn our next Z Crystal. Gigavolt does massive damage against Sableye in the opening exchange, but Nanu is quick to heal. I use Volt Switch into Galapagos at the same time and set up with Shell Smash. With the huge array of boosts, Galapagos outspeeds the Imp and gets the first KO with Rock Tomb. Krokorok, despite the Intimidate, falls to a single Aqua Jet, leaving Persian for last. Hoping to avoid a death at the hands of a Z move, I pivot into Dodge. With his Fairy typing, Dodge discourages Nanu from using the Dark-type Z move, and we're able to chip away at Persian until we net the win. The level cap increases once again to 49 as we get our raid on Aether Paradise started. A quick Claw Hasten Bug Buzz sends Faba packing in round 1, and the raid continues in full force until it's time to battle the scumbag again. Gigavolt takes Scruff's place in battle and teams up with Raichu to defeat Gladion and Claydol, and Galapagos safely deals with Pupitar next. Hypno fails to put anyone to sleep this time around and falls to the onslaught of attacks, leaving Bruxish alone to be zapped. The hated boss is up to bat soon afterwards, and Scruff gets us started with a ton of Rock Slides, taking Vikavolt and Golisopod out back to back. Pinsir nails Scruff with Storm Throw after we set up Stealth Rock, and Ricochet makes the save with a Supersonic Sky Strike. After losing half its bar to Stealth Rock, Masquerain is easy pickings for Ricochet to end the battle. The roadblocks on our way to Lusamine continue to pile up as we're forced to battle Dulce next. Poor little Poipole stands absolutely no chance against the gang and falls to the combined efforts of Galapagos and Gigavolt for the win. The Ultra Recon squad believes Lusamine and the Foundation will be able to overcome Necrozma, the threat that they've been alluding to this entire time. With our insider knowledge that no problem is getting solved without our help, we politely decline their request and jump the Shady Lady. Clefable continues to be an obstacle that isn't easily overcome, surviving Scruff's splintered Storm Shards with what has to be 1 HP. Lusamine pivots to Beware and debuffs with Charm, forcing me to switch to Topsy-Turvy. With Reflect and the type advantage, Beware falls and Clefable is sent back out to be polished off. Dodge poisons Lilligant as it starts to Petal Dance, and despite resisting, Ricochet is hammered by it on switch in. I leave it to Gigavolt to finish the job safely, getting the KO with Bug Buzz. Scruff outpaces Lopunny with Stone Edge to get the KO, leaving Milotic for last. Galapagos starts by slowing it down with Bulldoze, and Dodge gets a free switch in as it nullifies Dragon Pulse, trades attacks, and ultimately gets the KO and the win. The biggest changes to the story as we know it really start to show as we head to Pony Island next. We're introduced to Captain Mina a whole lot earlier for starters, eager to get her trial started. Unfortunately for her, she has to wait for us to run through the climax of the plot. For now, we speed through Hapu's promotion, our detour to Executor Island, and Team Skull asking us for help. Dulce challenges us yet again to see if we can actually be of help to them. Poipole has a better showing against Topsy-Turvy, but still goes down all the same. We're off to face the trial without a captain after everyone agrees we might have to battle Necrozma. It turns out that level cap adherence is even harder in the back half of these titles, especially if you forget to turn off the XP share like I did. Some of the squad ends up overleveled by the time we get to the trial site, but staying true to my word, I won't make any concessions and only use the members that stayed within the limit. Ricochet starts the trial, taking out Jangmo-O, and Dodge deals with Hakamo-O to hit the level cap just in time for the Totem Como-O. Topsy-Turvy the Totem Killer leads the charge in this battle, using its namesake to reverse Como-O's Omni Boost. Como-O calls in a goddamn Noivern, and it puts in major work, but Topsy-Turvy is still able to take the Totem down with Psycho Cut. Galapagos deals some big damage with Rock Tomb before being forced out, and Dodge uses an incredibly excessive Supersonic Sky Strike to secure us the win. I didn't want to risk Hurricane missing, okay? The level cap increases to a whopping 60 as the plot kicks into high gear. Things seem to play out the same way as we play our flute, but Necrozma is having none of it, dropping Guzma and Lusamine and ganking Nebby as soon as it evolves into Solgaleo. The exchange is straight up Dragon Ball Z, ending in Nebby's defeat. Necrozma enters its Dusk main form by assimilating the beast and wastes no time, ripping a bunch of wormholes open. Love the details on display. Hao stepping in to help Tutu alongside Tapu Koko. Nanu being completely nonplussed when Guzzlord drops in. It's just so fun. The fun continues as we square up with Necrozma next. Topsy-Turvy absolutely turns up in this battle, using Reflect to stay safe and answer with Foul Play for an effortless victory. Necrozma leaves with our light, and after some bickering, we all come together and agree on a plan to save the day. I just need to grab something really quick. This right here is our win condition. The Focus Sash guarantees a Pokemon's survival with 1 HP if an attack would otherwise OHKO, and it's just what Ricochet needs to solo Necrozma. The Ultra Recon Squad's Lunala safely transports us through Ultra Space in a fun little minigame, taking us to Ultra Megalopolis. We're introduced to Fico and Soliera of the Ultra Recon Squad, who share more about the Blinding One before we head up to finish things once and for all. With all the light it's stolen, Bro is a big-ass dragon now. Are we sure a Focus Sash is all I need to win this? Observe. On turn 1, Ultra Necrozma outspeeds and triggers our Focus Sash. With 1 HP, Endeavor drops the beast to 1 HP as well. Thanks to Unburden, Ricochet's speed is doubled when the Sash is used. Fire Punch connects first, and boom! Problem solved. No casualties in sight. I made sure to max his speed stat when training, ensuring he'd be fast enough to outspeed the Omni-boosted Necrozma on turn 2 despite the level gap. We're given a Poiple as a reward for helping, but I don't want to use the little guy this time. Everyone on the other side shares their tidbits, like the fact that Aura comes from Necrozma, and even Guzma departs with a lesson learned. Lusamine and Lillie come out on the other side of this altered story with a less compelling arc overall, but what can you do? Attempt Mina's trial, that's what. The level cap drops from 60 to 55 ahead of her trial, which is exactly why I went to Ultra Megalopolis underleveled. Mina's trial is a series of battles, starting with a battle against the captain herself. Gigavolt starts the battle with an agility, and then Thunderbolt to OHKO Mawile. We outspeed Granbull immediately afterwards, and pivot with Volt Switch, letting Dodge get the KO with Giga Drain. Her final Pokemon is Ribombee, who outspeeds us and lands Pollen Puff before getting wrecked by Supersonic Sky Strike. We receive a petal following the win and are instructed to tour the islands to battle other captains for their petals. Next in line is Ilima. Ricochet high jump kicks his way through Gumshoos and Smeargle, and Komala is overkilled by an all-out pummeling for the win. Our third petal is in the hands of Mallow, which means we're leading with Ricochet again. Trevenant applies Leech Seed in between our onslaught of acrobatics for the first KO, and Shiinotic falls after just 1. I pivot to Gigavolt when Sarina is sent out, tanking her Trop Kick and Bloom Doom before getting the KO with Bug Buzz. Kiawe is our fourth opponent in this trial, which gives Galapagos another turn to go all out. Despite being intimidated, Shell Smash amps our power up enough to OHKO Arcanine. Things go horribly wrong against Alolan Marowak, so I'm forced to switch to Topsy-Turvy. She has a bit more luck landing a Crit Thief, but is also dropped too low for comfort. Finally, Scruff joins the battle, getting the KO with Crunch. Accelerock then blitzes Talonflame for the win. Poor birdie. The Hiker jumps us immediately afterwards, but Ricochet is able to secure the KO safely with High Jump Kick, averting a disaster. Our next petal is on Mount Hokulani with Sophocles. The Electric-type user is the least straightforward of the bunch for our squad to battle, but we'll manage. Scruff gets rocks up for free as Togedemaru uses Spiky Shield right out the gates. We land Stone Edge once before Zing Zap nails us, and I switch to Dodge next. Leech Seed is applied as we tank more attacks, and then I use Giga Drain once before I send Gigavolt out. Sophocles switches to Magnezone, and the two trade Tri-Attack and Volt Switch, enabling Ricochet a safe entry. High Jump Kick finishes Magnezone, and Fire Punch finishes Togedemaru, leaving Alolan Golem for last. I use an all-out pummeling to blow the boulder into outer space and secure the petal. Molayne leaves to do Kukui a favor before we head to the site of our next petal, just in time to catch a really nice moment between Hau and Guzma. Nanu cannot be arsed to battle us properly, so he just hands the petal over. Works for me. The freshly arranged Rainbow Flower calls the final totem, a Ribombee, for battle. The totem sets up with Quiver Dance on turn 1, and I answer with Scruff's Splintered Storm Shards, dealing massive damage. Just enough damage to finish the job with Accelerock on the next turn. Ribombi's allied Blissey is completely incapable of fighting back, but Scruff ends it suffering quickly with Stone Edge for the win. Absolute cinema. The level cap decreases again to 54 with this win, which is why Scruff and the others were leveled accordingly for our battle just now. Our grand trial against Hapu takes place after the trials this time around, challenging her on Executor Island. Dodge is our opener against Golurk, getting an easy 2-hit KO with the newly learned Energy Ball. I use Bloom Doom on her ace Mudsdale next, not taking any chances against this thing. Gastrodon is free earnings with Energy Ball, and Moonblast hammers Flygon for a 2-hit KO and the win. The level cap increases to 57 ahead of our journey to Mount Lanakila for our final challenge. Gladion sees us off at the base of the mountain with a battle first. Topsy-Turvy trades with Crobat for a bit before Scruff finishes the job. Lucario is sent out next, so I pivot to Ricochet. After tanking Aura Sphere, I jump kick Okos. I pivot to Galapagos as Silvally is sent out, but after tanking Hyper Voice and Night Days, I realize that I have been baited successfully by Zoroark. Our tanky turtle manages to outdamage Zoroark for the KO anyway, leaving Scruff to contend with the real Silvally. Splintered Storm Shards packs more than enough of a punch to win us the battle. The mountain isn't barren in the Ultra titles, which makes the grind much less of a slog to get through. Necrozma is chilling in a crater near the summit, freely caught as we continue to train. With our final bits of preparation complete, it's time to challenge the Elite Four. First up, Kahili. Gigavolt's partial bug typing leads to Brave Bird dishing out massive damage, but after agility, its other type comes in clutch through a Thunderbolt KO. Mandibuzz is dropped by Gigavolt Havoc, Thunderbolt Okos 2 Cannon, and I pivot to Scruff to clear Oricorio, fearing that agility wasn't enough to outspeed. Topsy-Turvy hangs tough to set up Reflect, which allows Ricochet to enter and safely take Kahili's own Hawlucha down for the win. Mulane spared us on Mount Hokulani so he could be an even stronger threat on Mount Lanakila, taking Hala's place among the Elite Four. Keeping in mind how tough he's been for me in the past, I kick my brain into overdrive to devise a strategy. Scruff starts with the important job of setting up Stealth Rock before Gigavolt takes over. Klefki uses Reflect, which threatens my game plan, but I have to commit. I use Volt Switch and pivot to Ricochet. Swords Dance into a sweep is the goal. And knowing Klefki will likely use Thunder Wave again, Ricochet holds a Cherry Berry to simultaneously clear the paralysis and activate Unburden, teeing my goat up to sweep with ease. It's amazing what the mind can accomplish when backed into a corner. I head for Olivia's room next. Scruff continues to be the opener, setting up Stealth Rock before Ricochet enters the ring. Armaldo puts up a good fight while Ricochet sets up Swords Dance, but it amounts to nothing as High Jump Kick takes it, Gigalith, and Lycanroc out. Probopass is a tad too bulky, so we resort to an all-out pummeling to ensure its demise, and one last High Jump Kick drops Cradily for the win. Acerola is left for last, leading with a much worse Baynet. Topsy-Turvy shrugs Infestation off before getting an Oko with Foul Play. Frostlass aims to annoy with Confuse Ray, but Topsy-Turvy manages to hit hard with Foul Play before I send Scruff out. Even though it's healed, Frostlass is defeated by Ironhead. Delmise forces another switch into Gigavolt, and the two trade blows with Gigavolt coming out on top. I send Galapagos into battle for the first time this gauntlet, using his sturdy ability to tank Palossand's never-ending Nightmare. Dodge is a free switch in immediately afterwards, applying Leech Seed and hitting hard with Giga Drain for the KO. Dodge applies Leech Seed and Toxic on Acerola's final Pokémon, Drifblim, while it boosts the shit out of its stats. With the debuffs applied, Scruff returns to the field, easily finishing the balloon off. Okay, Professor, I'm primed and ready to end the leg strong. Let's get this... Oh right, it's Hao. He conveniently didn't challenge us before we entered because he wanted to fight us for the throne. A fitting final battle for sure. Topsy-Turvy starts us off strong with an Oko on Alolan Raichu, but Hao kills our momentum by taking her out with Primarina's Moonblast. I don't think there was anything to be done to avoid a casualty against Primarina specifically. At least this way, Gigavolt is able to enter, tanking another Moonblast and chipping with Volt Switch. Dodge outspeeds on the pivot and finishes Primarina off with Giga Drain. The battle is considerably easier from here on out. Galapagos completely shrugs Flareon off and gets the Oko with Aqua Tail, and Ricochet takes over when Tauros is sent out. Clever usage of the Payapa Berry triggers Unburden, and Ricochet uses Swords Dance into High Jump Kick to Oko Tauros. A full power Acrobatics then wrecks Crabominable and Noivern for the win! With such a strong conclusion, Topsy-Turvy Sacrifice was not in vain as we clear Ultra Sun with only 2 losses. I forgot how much fun the Ultra titles are. Even with an extensive ban list in the way, we put together a solid team. And by pure coincidence, this squad features 2 Pokémon recently blessed with Mega Evolutions. Seriously, I completed the playthrough of this leg in 2024, well before the reveal. Most importantly for me, we even managed to clear Necrozma without issue, something I was admittedly very worried about. The Grubbin, Inkay, Cottony, Rockruff, and Tirtuga lines, as well as Hawlucha, joined the ban list ahead of our last jaunt through Alola. Next time.